Very quickly, I want to post the title, then I will come back, we'll start the program.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Nebo TV. My name is Nekme Obasoge, broadcasting live from Toronto, Canada. We are here to discuss about the political climate of Nigeria, given that APC political party has won this past election in Nigeria. I have with me on in the studio Pastor Tony. Pastor Tony is joining me from Toronto here. He lives here in Toronto as well. Pastor Tony, the outcome of this past election in Nigeria, I don't think many Nigerians are happy, especially the youth, with what is going on social media right now. Many Nigerians are not happy with the results of this past election. So, what do you think will be the prospect of this administration?
Well, from what you have just said and the question you asked me, I deduced two things from what you just said. First of all, many Nigerians are not happy. I remember in 2007, when Buhari lost election to Yaradua, some American journalists, they interviewed the outgoing president, Obasanjo at that time, President Obasanjo, about rigging and whatever, that some quarters were complaining. Obasanjo asked the journalist, he said, who are the ones complaining? The losers or the winners? And he told the journalist that in Nigeria here, in our country here, not in America, every time we lose, somebody loses something, he always finds the other people to blame. First of all, we need to know that our society is a society of blame. We never accept our defeat or failure or fault. We always find somebody else to blame. Even in the church, you will see people blaming their enemies, blaming the devil, blaming demons and everything for their woes. They never blame themselves. They never talk about whatever they're doing wrong or the outcome of a particular situation in reality. We don't face that. Nigerian society as a whole, we don't know how to face reality. So that's why many people are not happy. The election that we conduct is the same way we have always been conducting election in Nigeria. Some touching over here, some manipulation over there, some excuses over here, some blaming over there, and things like that. This is the way we always do things in Nigeria. And we have been having elections since, which I believe as time goes on, especially when the youth we are talking about take over, in the true ways, not in the ways that we, their fathers, have been doing it. And the disappointing part of this whole thing is that the youth of today, they are beginning to do things the way we, their fathers, have been doing it. The same way they are complaining about is the way they're doing it too, with the same level of corruption or even higher level of corruption. So who is not happy? The loser or the winner? That's it. Then the prospect of the incoming government, it depends. You see, we have seen Tinubu has won. I don't know what Obi would do if Obi had won. And I always say it, ever since Obi came out, it has given me joy because I have experience. I was young when the Civil War came in 1966, when there was coup in Nigeria. I was young, but I was not a kid that you can carry on your back to the farm. No, I was already in primary school. So I knew certain level. And in my family, we lost people to the wear tear. In my family, we lost people to the civil war. In my family, we suffered for the civil war because my father did not release the Igbo people that were working for him to be deported. So my father was punished by the military at that time. So our family we suffered too. So me, I don't know about Igbo, Hausa, or Yoruba, or Mola, or anything. I don't know about all that. All I know is you as a Nigerian, individual person. So in this case, when you look at the election, you do your own in your own quarter. This one does his own in his own quarter. That one did his own in his own quarter. It's like me and you. We went to steal a loaf of bread in the store. And when we got there was only one loaf of bread left in the store. And you grab it on this side, I grab it on that side, and then we start pulling it against each other. And boom, the bread cut into two pieces. And then you, because you get a smaller part of the bread, which we forcefully cut into in our hands, then you say, I'm a thief. You are a thief too. You come to steal. That's why you are grabbing the bread. And I came to steal too. So that's what happened in Nigerian election. All of them, they are the same stock. But when Obi came out, Obi gave me personally two hopes. Number one, not because of the youth alone. Obi is not a youth either. He came into the government like any other youth. They put their head under the feet of the old people, and then they begin to serve the old people. But Obi now came out separately because they didn't choose him to be the presidential candidate in PDP. So he went to Labour Party, and then he started to represent the youth. And the youth, they're hungry for an option, a better option, or a new option. So they found the option in Obi, you see, which is good. And me, that's not what I found in Obi. What I found in Obi is the marginalization of the Igbo people in Nigeria. We cannot deny that. Since 1966, that majority of the people who carried out the coup in the January 15, 1966 coup were Igbo boys. The Igbos have been marginalized for real. They have not been allowed to come to the presidential level. But now we cannot say that anymore. That's my own joy in this case. That's number one joy that I experienced.
But they didn't allow him to win. They didn't allow him to win the election now.
Why would they allow him to win? Everybody voted. You voted your own, I voted my own. Do they have to carry the seat for him? No, he contested. And he contested fearfully and fairly and diligently. And other people too, they did the same thing.
So there's a hope that in future he might win the election.
He might win. You see, yeah. Now we have hope that Igbo man can become president in Nigeria. That's my own.
Yes.
Now there is hope. Now, me personally, I don't know about anybody else. I have 100% hope and joy that now an Igbo man can contest and win. If you bring a good candidate and you in a good party, he can win. He can win. Igbo man can now come to power. Even in Lagos, where I come from, Igbo man can become governor. That's another joy that I experienced.
Because Obi won Lagos. Obi won Lagos.
Yeah, so you cannot say we Yoruba we are tribalistic anymore. No, Igbo man can become governor in Lagos now. Because now the House of Assembly is going to change. Now the Senate constituencies in Lagos is going to change. You see, because of Igbo people. So, welcome, Igbo man. That's my own joy. That's number one. Number two, if you put an Igbo man there, then we will all know that there is no particular person or region that can fix Nigeria. Only the God-chosen leader that can fix Nigeria. Because our problem is not particularly in the people that are going to Aso Rock. The people that are going to Aso Rock, they are products of our society. So we cannot continue to blame them. We are the one that put them there because we are the one that taught them what they are doing. Look at our campuses, student unions. I was involved in student union too in the United States. We didn't do this kind of corruption. But I bet you, if I were to be in student union in Nigeria, I might do the corruption they do in Nigeria too. You see? So this is the reality we have to face. Our society is corrupt.
Pastor Tony,
So we are
you know,
producing corrupt leaders.
Pastor Tony, you know what the youths are complaining about? It seems as if Tinubu is also exhibiting the same quality that President Buhari exhibited for the past 8 years. Old age, number one, and he's looking very feeble. You know, can this man manage Nigeria, a very complex country like that, very the biggest black country in the whole world? Can Tinubu manage Nigeria with his health, the health issues and everything, his old age, everything? Can this old man manage Nigeria?
You see, the fundamental function of democracy that many people don't understand. Democracy is, we loan him, like he borrowed power from us. You see,
The election was not democratic election. The election, the
no,
corruption.
you cannot say that. That's Nigerian style democracy.
Yeah, it's true though.
You cannot say that.
Yeah.
You can't say that, please. In Japan, they have their own, they practice parliamentary democracy like Canada, but their own system, when I went there, is different. Yet it's parliamentary like Britain. So you cannot say that. Why would you, if you want to deny our system in Nigeria, then first of all, deny yourself as Nigerian. This is the way we do things.
But we cannot normalize this.
Look at this election of Saturday.
We cannot normalize not wrong way of doing things. Instead,
that is the basis. That's where we're supposed to go first, to change our mentality first, before we change our system. But this system that we run this last Saturday is typical of Nigeria. We saw video from Igbo land. They did their own shit. We saw video from Lagos and Yoruba area. They did their own mess. We saw videos from the north. They did their own bullshit too. So what are you talking about? Every region did something stupid. That's Nigeria for you right there. So that's our democracy. The last election was the same thing. The election before was the same thing. Before was the same thing. Before was the same thing. 1959 election, according to our father's story, was the same thing. Come on. If we want to change that, we need to change our mentality, or this is our democracy. This is our own fashion of democracy. We have our own fashion of dressing. We have our own fashion of speaking English. We have our own fashion of, you know what I'm saying? This is our own fashion of democracy. Go to Ghana. They practice the same style that we're practicing, but not the same way. And not the same way like America. In Ghana there.
Okay.
You see, you understand what I'm saying? So what are we looking for war for, where there is no fight? We don't need to look for war. The youth you are talking about, they have tried now. There is hope now that the youth can change game in Nigeria now. So it's now up to the youth to regather themselves again. It's just 4 years because they have loaned the power to Tinubu now. Tinubu will use the power for 4 years. If he misuse the power, what are they going to do? They take it away from him. It's now up to the youth to gather themselves some more. They already showed that it's possible for them to gather. Unlike when Sowore came out 4 years ago, they didn't gather enough behind Sowore. But now they gather somehow more behind Obi. So next election, then gather some more and you will take power. You don't have to take it overnight. If it's going to be real, if it's going to last, you don't have to take it overnight. And another thing is, don't forget, I wrote an article about 7 months ago. Who says Nigerian youth have not taken over? They have taken over. Tinubu, when he came to power as a senator, he was only 39 years. He was a youth. Obasanjo was 38 when he became head of state in 1976. He was a youth. Muritala was 39. He was a youth. This same Buhari you are talking about, when he was the petroleum minister, he was only 32 or 34 years old. he was a youth. Okorocha, when he became governor, he was a youth. The same Obi that we are talking about is 62 now, going to 63. When he became governor, he was a youth. Don't forget all this. He was only in his 40s then. He was a youth. But who are the youth that are taking over power in Nigeria? The youth that play the same game that the old people play. And they betray the other youth that want things to become better.
Yeah.
But when Obi came out, well, the youth generally, both the ones that are playing game with the old people and the ones that are trying to make it better, they saw themselves in Obi. But then they tried. Look at the vote. Obi get vote everywhere, even in my father's compound. All my children, they go to school in Nigeria. They voted for Obi. I can't even talk in the house. My children in-laws, or whatever you call them, they all voted for Obi, no matter what I say. But then, me, I'm not in Nigeria. I would have voted for Obi too, because I want the marginalization of the Igbo people to end. And I saw that in Obi.
Not only because of that.
That's
Not
my own
only
reason.
because of that, because when
That's
you
my
look at
own personal
the three
reason.
major candidates, I think
That has
Obi is
nothing to
more
do with
fit to
anybody else.
manage Nigeria.
That's
We
my own
don't
personal
vote just
reason.
because a certain tribal group was being oppressed in the country. We also vote because of the progress of Nigeria, the development of the country, with
No,
the
I
insecurity
just told you
prevailing
that's
in the
my own
country over
personal
these
reason.
years. You know, so all those things added to why the youth are not very happy right now, Pastor.
The youth that are not happy, they will be happy, but they probably don't understand the process. And among themselves, they should teach themselves about the process. Because you voted for Obi doesn't mean Obi is the one that is going to win. Obi did this. The people that supported Obi, I didn't see Obi carrying boxes by himself, but the people that surrounded him, they did their own mess too. You understand what I'm saying? Every one of them, all the parties involved, they all did their own mess. So in Nigeria, we all know the best rigger is the winner.
Oh.
That's the system we run. So why should anybody kill anybody for anything? The best rigger is the winner. If Obi had been able to rig better, he would have won. But next election, let the youth gather themselves more. It's just 4 years down the road. It's just 4 years down the road. You see, and when you say Tinubu,
only if
they
Obi can be
cannot manage.
consistent.
They don't manage by physical. President don't manage by their physical appearance. They manage with their leadership ability. And the Tinubu they are talking about, despite the fact that maybe I would not vote for him if I were to be in Nigeria, I would vote for Obi for my own personal reason. You see, but the Tinubu they are talking about the sickness. Tinubu, nobody particularly showed us that Tinubu was in the hospital like Buhari was in the hospital. That's one. Two, Tinubu has some sicknesses in his body, because when you are reaching my age, then you need doctors almost every week. You see, I don't have any health issue, but at the same time, I still need my doctor minimum of at least once in a month for whatever reason, without any sickness. So that's age. Now, Tinubu has been running this campaign, going from place to place since July. We're following all these things, even here from Canada. He never stopped, and he didn't stop, and he didn't go to the hospital. So that means for those 7 months of running without stopping, something must be okay in his health. So let's leave that one alone. That's social media mess for me. I don't know Tinubu. I never saw him personally. And I never come close to him. But then, in the last 7 months, he was
Tony,
running his campaign without going to the hospital
if you
and
have
without.
listened to Tinubu making speeches during this past election, during the campaign, you will realize that this man is experiencing serious psychological problem due to his old age.
They all do. They all do. When Donald Trump was running campaign here, he was making blah 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 blah.
No. Donald Trump was not like that. You cannot even compare Donald Trump.
No,
We have to be
Donald Trump did. He
Let's
did
call a
too.
spade a spade. It's
Um,
not about Nigeria. We have to say the truth.
they all did. But they say Buhari was sick. Buhari was there for. And another thing is, my daughter told me this thing. even when she was only 17. She said, Daddy, that was when Buhari was coming in for the first time. I was rooting for Buhari. And my daughter said, when Buhari comes to power, is he the one that's going to be ruling? What about the people that surround him? Because I was counting on the record of Buhari in 1983 when him and Idi Agbon were fighting corruption. So I thought when he comes to power, he was going to fight corruption too. But my daughter told me, Daddy, don't go with 1983. That was military time. Though I was not born then, but that was military time. This time, the people that surround him are the ones that will be ruling Nigeria. And it came out to be so. The same thing. Tinubu is not going to do the job alone, especially the way Tinubu operates. Before you know, he will gather people from the east, from the west, from the middle, from the central, from everywhere, and they will rule Nigeria together. And we cannot deny Tinubu's intelligence and capability in leadership. We cannot deny that because of our sentiment or emotions. No, we can't deny that. So if they say he won, then lucky for the winner. But next 4 years is there. Let's wait. The youth, I encourage the youth to gather themselves more. They have performed very well now. And I'm really happy that they did, because we've been waiting for this. I'm one of the people that have been waiting for the youth to wake up. Now they're waking up, but they're not going to take power overnight. Their fathers are not
I
dead
wish
yet.
PDP will collaborate with the Labour Party. It would have been better so that they can fight this APC, because APC is like they are turning Nigeria into one party country, whereby the 8 years Buhari spent in the office with APC. So Tinubu won again under APC. What is going on here? So how long we're going to be under APC? Nigeria is not one party state. So I think PDP and Labour Party should work together in next election and take power away from APC, because this is getting too much.
It depends. What is the goal of Nigeria? I'm not in APC, I'm not in PDP, and I'm not in Labour Party. But what is the goal of Nigeria? You see, even the people that we are trying to emulate. In Canada here, Steve Harper ruled for 9 years, which is not likely. And right now, our current Prime Minister, Trudeau, is going for many years too, which is going to be more than 9 years. No, what is the performance of who is in power? Are they doing what Nigerians want? So if APC did not do it, then people probably voted for Tinubu's personality. I'm not there. I didn't vote and I didn't root for him. But they probably vote for Tinubu's personality.
They didn't vote for him. They rigged the election. Let's be realistic, Pastor. They rigged the election.
No.
So the blind can't see.
You cannot say that. Don't try to create problem on your media. Other people rigged too. Did you not see the video where other people rigged? And where did you see the APC particularly doing the rigging? Where did you? Everybody rig. I'm not saying I was not there. You were not there either. Get facts before you begin to talk. Oh, they rig the election. This is why we always create problem. This is the way we always vote in Nigeria. After anything, people start to blame other people for everything. And that is what is creating most of our poverty. I must tell you today, 2 things make a society poor, even individual. Number 1, expecting miracles, where you don't deal with reality and you are dealing with illusions. You are expecting miracles. That's 1. It creates poverty. 1. Number 2, blaming other people for your predicaments. And that's what we have abundantly in Nigeria. Everybody rigged they did stupid things. I don't know if I should call it rigging. I was not there. Everybody did stupid things in this last election, which we see on video here in Canada. You see, in Igbo land they did stupid things. In northern land they did stupid things. In Yoruba land they did stupid things. So who did the rigging? All of them did. One politician was telling me yesterday, oh, they might go to court. I said, let them go to court. If you take one party to court, the other party will bring evidence of your own malpractices too, because none of them is stupid. None of these three,
The court will not work. Yeah,
you know,
that's
it's not. None of them is stupid. You understand what I'm saying? Go to court. They will bring out your own evidence too. That's what happened to Atiku the other time. He said he was going to take Buhari to court, but then he forgot that they will bring out the malpractices of PDP in some areas too. But now we don't have PDP and APC anymore. We have another choice. Even Kankwaso is a very plausible choice in the north. You can't put him away anymore. Next election is going to come out stronger. Now, Obi is going to even come out stronger. And now, Obi is not going to be the only candidate from the East next time. The East now, they now grow level, they grow muscle now. You understand? They grow liver now that they can come out. And that's what I'm happy about. Next election, you're going to see. APC might even have a candidate from the East. And that is what PDP should have done. PDP should have chosen Obi instead of Atiku. If they chose Obi, I believe they would have won. So this fighting about one party thing is just we're just going to 12 years. PDP ruled for 16 years. We didn't kill anybody for that. You see? We didn't kill anybody for that. Who is going to make Nigeria good? That's what we need to look for. PDP and APC and all those politicians in Nigeria, to me personally, they are all the same. That's why you see them crisscrossing from one place to another.
Yes, they are the same.
Even Obi too, they crisscross from one place to
Obi,
another.
yes, was once they are.
All the
Yeah,
politicians in
they are
Nigeria,
all the
they
same.
are all the same. So
Me
it's
too.
not
I'm
PDP
afraid
or
that
APC.
I'll be with the camp to PDP. Who knows?
So please don't let's go into anything that will bring fight or quarrel or over people that have all their children in Canada and America and things like that. Your own children, your family are still in Nigeria suffering. Yeah, you want to fight over them. Don't fight over them. Don't say
if
that will
Peter
bring
Obi can be consistent, if Peter Obi can be consistent with the Labour Party,
that's right. In the next time they
we
might
don't trust Nigerian
win.
politicians. He might decamp before that time. We don't know. That is one thing, because he was once a part of the PDP, and now that he didn't win this election, who knows if he will decamp back to
That's
PDP.
right. That's another.
So if he can be consistent, Nigerians follow him.
They don't have ideology.
He wins the election.
That means they don't have ideology. They only have ambition. You see, that's why they jump from party to party. They don't have they don't have principles. They don't have ideology. They only have ambition. That's why they jump from party to party. You understand? So we need to look at these things analytically, not just because we are of our sentiment. Obi is not going to win this election. He just came out, and he came out late, and he just came out, and then the same thing that happened in 1979 when Waziri came out from MPP, and just 2 months to the election, he formed GMPP, and he won his region, Borno and Bauchi State, clear winning. The same thing Obi did here, because Obi came out, whatever, no matter how late, he still won his region. He won his region. Nobody contested with in his region. I mean, nobody won his region with him. So what are we fighting for? Even win from other people's regions.
Yeah.
It's animalistic for us to be thinking that we should fight. No, Obi has a chance now to come out the next time.
Only if you can be consistent.
If you said it, you didn't think about that before you begin to they rig it. No, this is Nigerian voting. This is Nigerian typical voting ever since Oyibo come out. This is our typical voting.
But INEC, they need to wonder INEC. INEC needs to be cautioned, because what happened in this past election shows that INEC rigged the election. INEC was not able to provide materials for voting. Even some of the voters were soliciting for materials for INEC. And INEC, whatever machine they brought out, the Beaver, whatever machine that they just brought to, I don't know. So they didn't record the results on time, and some of the results were not recorded. And when they even recorded the results, according to what the voters were saying, that there was a kind of a discrepancy in the results, because they were counting some of the results in the polling units. So, but when INEC finally uploaded the results to their beaver machine, or whatever they call it, there was a disparity. Pastor Tony, ringing in Nigeria has been normalized by the citizens, and it's not good. It's not a normal thing. We have to protest against it. We have to campaign against it. We cannot just take this result like that and go sit down in our house. Next 4 years they will come again and come and ring. We have to protest against it if we really want democracy in Nigeria.
Anyway, do you understand what they say in Yoruba land when they say Amokun Eruewo? He said Amokun is somebody with K-leg, the way I used to be when I was a child, not anymore. You see, K-leg, X-leg. He carry load for head, the load bent. And they say, Amokun, your load bent. He said, you are only looking at the top. The bending has come from the beginning. Our own problem has come from the beginning. Rigging is just a leaf on a tree. What about the branches of the tree? What about the trunk of the tree? What about the root of the tree? You want to hear about that? Our rigging is just a leaf on the tree in Nigeria. No matter how much, is there any time protesting on the street ever work in Nigeria? Go there and protest if you don't get some bullet. You see? Why? When INEC represent the government and Nigeria as a whole, the head of the INEC was sitting in his position and he said, this is what we are going to do. Listen to me carefully now. Some of the people that INEC sent out to all the 36 states, is it the same chairman that will go to all the 36 states? No, he has state representatives, and the state representative has state workers. Listen to me carefully. One of my son-in-laws, when he was graduating about 4 years ago, the last election, they sent him to Ikere Ekiti to take part in the election, whatever they do, election coordination. He's just served voluntarily. Somehow, he came back telling me how they were paying INEC officials right there, not in INEC office. So what kind of corruption is that? The same corruption that happens at the custom borders, where Buhari cannot witness. The same corruption that happens with police on the road, where they're taking 2 naira from you, where the IG cannot witness. You understand what I'm saying? The same corruption that happens in the banks, when central bank gave them money and they keep the money for the big people and they make the poor people suffer, where the central bank governor could not supervise every bank. The same corruption. I talked to one police commissioner in Nigeria recently. I said, why do you don't arrest these bank managers? He laughed. He said, if you don't take since you come out for Nigeria, how can we arrest the bank managers? We only go there to shakara them and collect our own from the money they are making from these new notes. I'm not going to mention the name. He's a police commissioner in Nigeria. Current. It's a young of mine.
Corruption in that country.
You see, so you're talking about INEC. It's not INEC at the top. It's the people that are representing INEC. And they all compromised everywhere they sent them. You see, lecturers are compromising in the campus. The VC don't know.
Yeah, that's so true. In order to address this election
malpractice, we need to look at the whole society and address this corruption that we all have. If we don't, then we're not going to change anything.
Yes, exactly.
And some stupid people, or some areas will be, it's rigging. But then they practice their own corruption in their own ways too. And then they're shouting, it's rigging. And I keep saying it. Many people don't want to hear me. I say, Me personally, show me one Nigerian that doesn't know how to operate in corruption. A lot of people want to say, oh, but
I
then
think
I point to them how they have operated in corruption before. Because a lot of people come to Canada, they lying to the Canadian government about their status in Nigeria. Is that not corruption?
so. This
Do your
corruption
own, and
in
then you see other
Nigeria.
people they cannot do their own. They can do their own too, because you are doing your own. You sit in your house in Warri, you sit in your house in Ibadan, you are doing your own corruption in your own market. The orange seller is doing his own corruption. Bread seller is doing his own corruption. Somebody who sits in Aso Rock where he rents house for 4 years is doing his own corruption, and you are complaining. Everybody is doing corruption.
Corruption exists in every fabric of Nigerian society.
That's our problem. It's not
Yeah.
INEC president that is doing the corruption. That's why the guy don't care yesterday. He just read the thing.
Mm,
Because you probably understand what I'm telling you. If I were
mm.
to be the chairman of INEC too, I would have read it since Sunday night. And dare anybody to come and to go and challenge it. Because you do your own corruption, you do your own there, you do your own there, and then you complaining. This election, the Igbo people do their own in their own land. Yoruba people do their own in their own land. Hausa people do their own in their own land. We saw everything. Even if the videos were monitored, but then they monitor the Igbo video, they monitor Yoruba video, they monitor Hausa northern video. So that's another corruption, monitoring video. You see what I'm saying? Come on, we don't need fight where there is none. Don't let's say things that will bring enmity and fight and here and there. That's the way we vote. During Obasanjo time, that's the way they voted. Obasanjo himself confirmed it, but then he came out and said, no. And what I see about what
I understand that, Pastor. We have to protest against it.
he protect, we
We
cannot
cannot
protest.
normalize this corruption and say, oh, this
The
is the
problem.
system. This is the type of system that we have been running over these years. So it's not a normal thing. We have to
Protesting
reform
don't solve the problem. We have to go to if we want to go to the grassroots. When I hear somebody say, I'm going to the grassroots in Nigeria, I always expect them to go to the grassroots of our problem. But they're going to the grassroots just to maintain the problem to people that are at a lower level, the youth, and the same problem. No, when you say you want to go to the grassroots, that means you want to go to the foundation of the problem. And once the foundation is wrong, what can a good man build? Which kind of house is he going to build? The house will bend because the foundation is wrong. The foundation is wrong. As I'm talking to you now, challenge me. Anybody who is watching your program, let them challenge me that we are not corrupt in Nigeria. We don't want to face this. We are just talking, fighting.
We know that we are corrupt
among ourselves. Our evil is general. Igbo, Yoruba, Benue, whatever. Worry man, Yoruba, your security. Everybody is corrupt. Everybody is corrupt in Nigeria. Come on. Until we change that mentality, we're not going to change anything for good. We have to change that mentality. And anybody who wants to change that mentality, we don't want to listen to them. Even in the church. You cannot imagine a state chapter of CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria, issue a memorandum that they should vote for a particular candidate. Can you imagine? CAN. That's not biblical and that's not legal. But who police going to arrest them? They will give the police some money and that's it. And you're talking about corruption. I mean, about rigging. We already rig ourselves long time ago by allowing corruption to eat into our fabrics. So rigging has taken place ever before I was born.
But this is how this country is going to continue.
That's the thing that we need to teach our youth. Now,
Nigeria is
I'm,
getting worse. I remember those days when
that's
I was
fine.
growing up.
Now you are talking.
Insecurity was not a part of
Now you
our
are talking.
problems.
Now
When
you
I
are
was
talking.
growing up in Nigeria, in the 80s, in the early 80s, in the late 70s,
Now you are talking.
insecurity was not a part at all. We never even think about insecurity at that time. But today in Nigeria, people are afraid to do common interstate travel. You cannot travel from Abuja to Benin. You cannot travel from Abuja to Lagos because of insecurity.
What do
That's
you
ravaging the
expect
lives of
where the
innocent
foundation is
Nigerians.
wrong? Huh?
And
The
Pastor,
foundation is wrong.
you said,
What do you expect where the foundation is wrong? I remember reading an article in 1996 that Azikiwe gave an interview, Dr. Namdi Azikiwe, and he said in our own time, corruption was a baby. In their own time, he's talking of when they started politics in Nigeria in 1935, 36, 37, 1947, 1957, 1959, 1965. That's their own time he's talking about. If corruption was a baby then, I was not even born at that time. And I was a baby when I was born. Today, I'm a serious level of grandfather because my grandchildren, they're the same height with me now. You see? So what do you expect corruption will be now? Great grandfather. The corruption he's talking about has been there even before Obasanjo was born. That was Azikiwe was talking about. So what do you expect that corruption to be now? It's growing every day because we don't stop it. Somebody suggested in 1951 that we should try to stop this corruption. All the politicians in the country, they went against him, Anthony Enahoro. Go and check it out. Now you are talking about rigging. Rigging is not new in Nigeria. Check what Obasanjo said in 2007. Is that new? 2007 was 13 years ago. 13 years is enough for us to change things over. We didn't change. And we are raising youths in the same way, with the same mentality. If you don't do it, corruption, you cannot get through. But this is what I'm teaching my own children now. I'm teaching them in a way to let them know that, look, the people that are really making it in life, they don't do corruption. And you don't have to. I'm doing my best.
you use your brain to make money. You don't use corruption.
But is our brain not wired with corruption? Let's tell ourselves the truth. Our brain is wired with corruption. We all practiced it before. Yes. Today in Nigeria, if you go to Nigeria and you want to renew your passport, if you don't give them something, they're not going to renew it for you. Try to fight them. You will blame yourself. You try to fight them, you will blame yourself. Or maybe you will press some button. Oh, you are connected with the Governor Obaseki, and then Obaseki will make a phone call. That's corruption too. Tell me. That means you cannot walk into passport place and get your passport renewed without either connection or monition. You see?
It's so sad.
And
It's
that's the point. That's why we come to this kind of election. How
you know
come,
why people are not
what are
happy?
we crying for? We are the ones that prepared this situation for ourselves.
The winning of Tinubu for many Nigerians right now means a continuity of the current administration.
Until we
For them,
change our mentality of corruption. You see? And that mentality of corruption is based on one article I wrote some years ago. Number one, our selfishness. Number two, our greed. Number three, our ignorance. That's the foundation, that's the root of our corruption. The corruption is not the main problem. The main problem is the selfishness, greed, and ignorance. You can tell me that the white people too are selfish, but in a different way. They are. They are greedy, but in a different way. Their greed is on what they want to do. Our own greed is on what we want to eat. That's the difference. They are greedy. That's why you see Google taking over YouTube. That's greed. If court didn't stop Microsoft, it would have swallowed all the small computer companies. That's greed. But that's on
As
what
Tony, a good
they
governance
want to do
will regulate all these things that we are complaining about.
by
A good
regulating your
government
mentality
can
first.
regulate the
You change
morality
the way
of the
you
people.
think. In Nigeria, we're already
Regulate
thinking that corruption is our way.
and
Stop that.
Pastor Tony, we should be hopeful that a good government can regulate all these things we are
That's the
talking
point
about.
I'm talking about. How do you know who is going to regulate it? How do you know who's going to regulate it? You see, by this election, it doesn't show that we have any of the candidates to regulate it. No, people just they vote for Obi. One, he's an Igbo guy. Two, the youth they follow him because it's a better option for them. It does not necessarily mean that it's going to regulate it. Because the youth that are following him, most of the things they're putting out were not true. They lies. So if they can lie in small things like that, they can lie also in big things. So how do we know we are there? This is the point. This is the point that I'm talking about. I'm not saying Obi should not win. I would have voted for him if I was.
Would have been more better than Atiku or
Maybe,
Tinubu.
but maybe, you see, maybe
Obi would have been more
because
better
in
than
some of
Tinubu or
you
any candidate
were
out there.
babies.
I'm telling you,
Yes,
Obi would
some
have
of you were
performed more
babies
better.
in 1970.
You said
In 1977, so many of these youths, they were not alive in 1977. And some of you that were alive in 1977, you were still running around in your pampers. In 1977, we organized. Falana was one of the leaders. We organized. Okewo was one of the leaders. We organized Ali Must Go against Obasanjo regime. What were we fighting? Obasanjo's corruption. Now, the same group of people that carry out my group, are we not the one in power today? Senate, ministers, everywhere, even presidency, are we not the one today? The same people that were fighting Obasanjo's corruption then. So the youth, my advice to them is do not continue to make the same mistake that your fathers made, and then start to complain against generational cause. No, generational cause is not in the spirit. It's in your stupidity, making the same mistake that your father made. That's what they call generational cause. It's not something you go to church and the pastor pray for me for deliverance. If you don't change from the way your father did certain things, you will not get yourself away from generational cause. If all the pastors in the world pray for you, it's not going to work. Even myself as a pastor, it's not going to work. You have to change that mentality. The way you think, the way you see yourself. We see ourselves we don't see ourselves without corruption in Nigeria. Everything we do, we must do something. We must pay something. We must, this is the point. We can dabaru things.
enforcing the law will regulate all this corruption. A
Who's
better
going to
government
carry the
will
law?
regulate
The
this.
police are already corrupted. Who's going to make the law work?
Few
Who's
days
going to make
ago,
the law work?
I watched a video of this woman who was the former president of Liberia, Liz Johnson. This woman gave some keynotes about how she reformed the system when she came into power. So look, there's nothing that cannot be done in Nigeria. Good governance will regulate this corruption embedded in different institutions, even in their individual houses. People practice corruption. They practice corruption in front of their children at home. So these things can be regulated. I'm telling you, what that woman said is a lesson to all Nigerian African leaders. She came into the system, employ people who can manage different leadership roles in the country. She brought people outside the country to come and manage the country for her. Guess what? After a few years, She was seeing the light of the country. So why can't we be optimistic and believe that a good governance will regulate the corruption that we are complaining about?
Did you read my article about 6 months ago, where I said if the white people or the Chinese people want to help us in Nigeria, they don't need to give us loan anymore. They don't even need to open their schools for us to come so easily anymore. No. All they need is to come and take over our judiciary system. Because we live here in Western world. I've lived in America, I'm living here. We see them corrupt too. But because their judiciary system, they're working effectively. So they are able to put the corruption under control. But in Nigeria, the judicial system don't work effectively. Simple. Let them arrest people that did that. Do you know those people that we saw on video counting votes and putting thumbprint? If the police want to get them, the police can always get them. But would they get them? And if they get them, would they be punished?
No.
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 That's the point. That's the point.
Like,
Those,
I'm giving
those boys in the East who were carrying guns and scaring away the people that wanted to vote. If the police want to get them, I tell you this today, the police system in Nigeria, if they want to get them, they will get them. But then, even if they get them, will they be punished?
the
No,
laws in Nigeria, the laws
but
in
that's the
Nigeria
point.
are
That's
not
the point. You are
effective.
shouting rigging because you are shouting rigging. You are not shouting why we rig.
The laws in Nigeria are not effective, Pastor. Like
Because
what
we
I
don't keep
remember
the
what
law.
you said on this program a few years ago that all the laws we have in the West are also there in Nigeria. But the question is whether those laws are
They keep
effective.
their own law. We
If
don't
the
keep our
system,
own
if
law.
the government is reinforcing the laws, those laws are just in theory in the country. We have to enforce the laws. Number one, in Canada here, anyone that commits crime here, the criminal record will affect that person when he's looking for a job. Different opportunities in the system. That criminal record will restrict that person from achieving certain benefits in the system. So if the same system, if we're operating the same system in Nigeria, nobody will tell you not to commit crime because you know the repercussion, you know what you're expecting if you commit any
We,
crime.
we,
That
we
you
have
won't be
this.
able to
We
get a
have the
job
same
and you
system.
won't be marginalized, and that crime will restrict you from getting certain benefits in the system. A lot of things happen when you commit crime in this part of the world. If we have the same system in Nigeria, Pastor, this corruption that we are complaining about will be minimized.
We have the same system. That's what I think I need to tell you that we have the same system. We just don't operate it the same way.
And that's what I'm talking about. You said
We
it.
operate it the Nigerian way. You see, so the Nigerian way is what is giving us the results we are seeing, even the result of Saturday election. So why are we crying for the Nigerian way?
The government, the
What are
government
we
is
fighting for?
responsible. The government can regulate it. The
Now you can,
government can make
a
the law.
Yoruba man cannot stand among 4 Igbo guys and talk loudly. It's going to be a problem. Not even in Canada. Go to you are from Benin. Go to where you see 2 or 3 Igbo people and begin to talk about the election. They will soon on you. Yoruba man will soon on Igbo guy. Yeah, Edo man we want to kill Hausa man for what? For the corruption that we all have, that we all do. Only the better corrupt person they win. Eh? You see?
Yeah, Pastor Tony, I want to go to the
So
gym.
me too. I have to go to the bank.
Hmm.
So we talk another time.
But hey, Pastor, I will call you. I will call you. There's something I wanted to tell you. Yes, it's very
Okay, call me
important.
later.
Yes, I'll call you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the discussion. Guys, if you are watching right now from YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It has been a while, for how many months I have not been appearing on Nebo TV because I'm busy. So thank you all for watching. And for Nigerian youth, my advice for everyone is that take heart. Let's continue to be pressing for democracy in Nigeria, like what I said earlier, that we won't relent. We'll continue to be campaigning and protesting for democracy in Nigeria. If we continue like this, even international observers, Pastor, Ambassador McGreen even said that this election is unique with the way the turnout of the youth. It just shows that we are very close to achieving that democracy that we deserve in Nigeria. So this is just a stepping stone. In the next election, I know that the youth will overwhelm this corrupt system that we are complaining about. Only if we are consistent and we continue with what we are doing right now, we will overcome. We will overcome those old people, some old guys that were jubilating, jumping up and down. They will go and sit down in their villages when we overwhelm them, when we overshadow them in next election. That's my advice for my fellow Nigerian youths. You guys did a lot. I have never been so proud of Nigerian youths with what they did in this past election. They voted, they came out in their numbers and they voted and defended their votes. Nigerian youths, even elders. I saw some elders, Obasanjo, one elderly man in Edo State who came out, and the man said he came to this country when the country was better, and he's going to leave Nigeria in a better situation. That's what that old man said. He was so frustrated about the system that we're operating in the country right now. So next election for sure, Nigerian youths, don't relent and prepare yourself. We shall overcome. Thank you all for watching. If you are watching right now, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye for now.